Hey everyone, welcome back to SJ Woodworks. I've been promising to do some videos about carbide tools and what their uses are, and instead of doing a whole series, I think we're going to try and pack it all into one video today by showing a bunch of different wood turning techniques and how to do them with carbide. So the title of this video is, Can I Do It with Carbide? And the answer is usually yes, so let's check it all out. Let's go over the tools and introduce you to the different cutters I have in my carbide family, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's start with kind of the three basic cutter shapes that everybody is familiar with. This is the square carbide cutter. This particular one comes from Harrison Specialties. I'll put a link to all the makers of the tools I have in the show notes below. This one's slightly radiused edge. You can get them straight across also, good for various purposes. And we'll be able to demonstrate a lot of what this guy does today in this video. Next we have just a simple round flat carbide cutter, good for hollowing, for spindle turning. Also from Harrison Specialties. This is a 55-degree diamond cutter. This is a little different than the one that you might be familiar with, and I'll show you the other diamond shapes soon. But this one also from Harrison Specialties, and it's just another flat scraper style carbide cutter with a sharp pointed diamond on the end. So this is not rounded, this one is sharp. Okay, moving a little bit down the row, this is a shear cutting carbide tip. So this is the cupped one, and you've probably seen these, but you can see this is not a flat scraper style. This is cupped here. If you try and stick this straight in like a scraper, you're going to get the catch of your life. It's far too aggressive that way. This one gets held at an angle, introduced mainly for finishing cuts or for end grain hollowing, and we'll show you some of that with this one. This one also comes from Harrison Specialties. And this one here, this is a diamond-shaped cutter that is cupped as well. It's hard to see here. I guess if I turn it like this you can kind of see, but it's got a little cupped shape to it, meaning again you shouldn't probably use this one as a scraper, but this one is actually great for hollowing as well. I got this from Glenn Teagle in the United Kingdom on recommendation from Mike Walt, which many of you know here on YouTube. Glenn sent me this without a handle, and I went ahead and made a handle for it. To save on shipping from the UK all the way to here in Washington. But this diamond shape is something different than I've seen before. It's not sharp, you know, it's a rounded diamond shape, but it's cupped like this. So what that means is that it does have a bevel. You can catch this, you can ride this bevel while you're hollowing, and you could do some spindle turning like a regular spindle gouge. So a lot of different things you can do with this, and I have this one on a hexagon shaped bar here, which makes getting the angle a little bit easier. Again, the angle is not 100% critical, but it is a little easier to just rest it on a different facet on this hexagon shaped bar. So again, this one from Glenn Teagle, I'll put a link to his website in the show notes as well. And he's got several different cutters that are also generally the cupped versions on eBay and on his website. Okay, just two more that I want to show you here. This is the Easy Wood tools. This is the one that most people are familiar with. Craft Supply sells this. A lot of other places, you know, this is kind of the big name brand tool. This is the diamond detail cutter from them. This is a diamond shape, but it's rounded on the top. It's a tighter angle than the other diamond I show you, but it's rounded. So you can actually use this for turning coves or some more detail type things like that. But you can't get as sharp a point inside a bead with this one because it is rounded at the end and not sharp. That's why I have both of the diamond tools. But yeah, this is, as you can see, the standard Easy Wood tools handle there. This one's a little trickier to hang on to. I keep most of my tools here on a magnet bar. This one, because of the version that I got, I think this is an aluminum bar, so it doesn't stick on the magnet. It has to live in a drawer. The last one that I want to show you is this tool here. This is a Mike Hunter tool. This is called the Osprey tool. Very unique. It's got a much smaller cupped carbide cutter here. So again, it is cupped round, just like the other round one we had. It's quite a bit smaller. The difference on this one, if you look at the angle here, look at the geometry here. This cutter is offset about 30 degrees this way, where the other one we looked at was perfectly straight. Let's see if I can get that one back up here. There we go. You can see that one's perfectly straight. This one I'm showing you now is off about 30 degrees. The reason for that, this one you can introduce directly into the wood to use in scraping mode because it's offset, so it's offset itself. But the other thing, I mean, this is really almost the same geometry as a standard bowl gouge. You can use this as a bowl gouge for hollowing. It's a small carbide cutter, so it's not going to hollow as fast as your bowl gouge would. But you will get a fantastic finish with this one. These small cutters are crazy sharp. This is a great one for finishing. This is also great to use as a spindle gouge for cutting coves and beads and all sorts of stuff. Pretty much use it the same way as you would your spindle gouge or your bowl gouge, because the geometry here really is about the same. Again, it'll cut a little slower than a bigger bowl gouge would, but if you had a small detail gouge or something, this is pretty much going to work the same way as that without having to sharpen. This is a very small carbide cutter. You can get these cutters in several places. Again, this one is from Mike Hunter, and I'll put a link in the show notes for that. So that's 7 carbide tools that I've showed you here, and we're going to go into demonstration of how to do all the various different wood turning techniques and cuts that we do on a day-to-day basis using these tools. This video is not going to focus on the cutting technique or the wood turning technique. I'm just going to do that without much explanation, but the video will focus on how to use the carbide to make those cuts. So let's jump right into the first one. Okay, let's start out with some basic spindle turning. I don't typically do a lot of regular spindle turning like this, so I haven't had tons of practice, but I'm going to give it a shot to show you the different carbide tools on a spindle project. So I just have a square piece of poplar here, just a 2x2 piece, just between centers on the lathe. I'm going to rough it out first using the square carbide cutter. The square is what I always use for roughing pretty much anything. It moves wood fast, so there's no reason to pick anything else. So let's go through that piece first. 2 ways to do it. Either just plunge it straight in, sections like this, or go in a little ways and move it across. Either way can be very effective, and you can rough it out pretty quickly. You can see I didn't quite get all the way down to a cylinder here. I'm going to finish roughing this out then with this square carbide cutter, and then we'll move on to some more spindle cuts. Okay, I've got this roughed down to a cylinder. Most turning on a spindle is beads and coves. So let's start out with a couple of coves. First thing I'm going to use is just the regular round flat carbide cutter to do a simple cove here. Regular spindle turning rules apply. You should cut downhill into supported grain. Plunge this right in, you can get a pretty nice cove. Let's make it a little decorative here. Next, I'll turn a cove using the Hunter Osprey tool. This is the one that's offset a little bit. Now, again, 2 ways you can do this. Just plunge it straight in like we talked about. You can move wood pretty quickly and easily that way. Or put your handle down, use it like a spindle gouge, and ride the bevel across here. Doing it that way, riding the bevel and using this as a cutter instead of as a scraper, you actually get a much better finish. Right here to here, I have a much better finish than I have over here using the flat carbide tip as a scraper. Let's turn a bead here in the middle. With this, I'm going to use this tool again just like a spindle gouge. Now again, I don't have a lot of practice with this type of spindle turning, but I'm going to give it my best shot to turn a bead here and try and make something look good. Ride your bevel. So you start with your handle down, lift it up and move it over. You want to try and get the point of this tool down in there to get your bead sharp. Now, no doubt if I had more practice here, I'd have a much more even bead than I have. Guess I can even it out a little bit here. But anyway, you can see what I'm trying to go for here, and I did get a good bead there, I think. Using the easy wood tools with the detail cutter on here that's slightly rounded on the end, I can get some very small coves. And then if I want to turn beads between them, I can kind of move it around like this. It's not the easiest with this tool to get them nice and round in there, and you're not going to get the sharp corner in between, but you still get a good look if that's the look you're going for. Just use this to round off your bead a little bit. Very lightly, you can guide it to where you're trying to go. Finally, using the diamond cutter from Harrison Specialties, I can get much sharper in between the beads because this is pointed and not round there. Now you want to guide it from the edge so you don't bite that point in too deep. Then from the other side. And with a little work, you can get a couple of nice even beads in there. Now mine aren't very even here. You know, I would spend a little more time if I were working on a spindle project here, but I've got them nice and tight in the middle because I'm using the pointed tip. So there's a few different ways to get beads and coves. You can see this one actually came out kind of nice. I'm kind of proud of this one. This might be something that you'd see on a table leg or something like that. A couple of coves and a little bead in the middle. Yeah, you can do your beads and your coves with your carbide tools. It takes a little practice, but you can get it.